Hey everyone, thanks for joining in. I just want to apologize in advance. The sound quality was a little off, but I promise you it dies down a little bit halfway through the interview. Do listen to it, pay attention to it. I guarantee you guys are gonna love it. Thanks again.
Welcome to the Insurance Guy Podcast. From sales to insurance advice, we discuss ways to protect your business and grow it. Make sure to like and share this podcast. And don't forget to check us out at theinsurers.ca for all your business insurance needs. And here's your host, Mr. On.
Welcome to another episode. Today's episode's a little bit motivational. I got a great guy with me here today, Mr. Mark Desai. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks for inviting.
Mr. Mark's got an incredible story behind him, and you'll definitely want to pay attention to this one because he's going to talk about his challenges and what he's done to overcome it, and how he's been able to spread the word, spread the message of positive thinking and not letting your scenarios be your downfall, which is, I read your story, I heard about it, and I really wanted to get you on the show just so you can share it. So Mark, tell us about yourself.
I got diagnosed. I was forced to take a look at my life, and I realized that I was really passionate about fitness and weight training and martial arts, and didn't see the point of continuing with the marketing and advertising anymore.
So you said you were diagnosed? What were you diagnosed with?
I was diagnosed with a rare brain disorder known as Ataxia.
Ataxia, okay.
Right, now there are lots of different varieties of it, but it's basically a neurological condition that's degenerative. That is, it gets worse over time.
So you have something called ataxia.
Right.
And it's a neurological disorder is a degenerative. So
right.
It gets worse over time.
Right, like MS or Parkinson's or Huntington's or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, although symptoms obviously vary between varieties of the disease and depending on the person, right? Most people suffer from dysarthria, which is slurred speech.
Okay.
Right? They suffer from poor balance and coordination. And also there's a symptom which I have, some other people have I think it's called fascination.
Okay.
Which is basically the involuntary movement of your legs.
Okay.
So like you may not be able to control your stride or your gait at times.
Okay. When did you get diagnosed?
I got diagnosed back in 2014, 2015. The conclusion of that was that I have a genetic variety of the disease, which actually I've had since birth, but since it progresses so slowly, I didn't start to notice anything until mid-30s.
So you're telling me you got diagnosed, the official diagnosis came in about 4 to 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And they said that you've had this condition since birth.
Right.
But because it was such a slow progression of degeneration,
right,
then you only noticed it 4 or 5 years ago. How old were you at that time?
I'm going to say about 34, 35.
Okay, so you were 34, 35, and the doctor comes in and says, listen, Mark, I'm sad to say that you've got this degenerative condition.
Right.
What went through your head?
Well, at first, what the doctor said to me on several occasions was that there's nothing I can do about this thing, right? So basically, in his judgment, there's nothing I should do or shouldn't do.
Okay.
Because there's no cure for this. disease I've got.
Okay.
Therefore, whatever I do doesn't matter, right?
Wow. Okay.
And well, that's what I came away with when I met with him. Now, of course, there were a few weeks and months in there where I was kind of depressed. I didn't know exactly what I was supposed to do, right? Because there's no one to give me any advice.
Right.
So I had to go around doing my own research, taking a look at what other people were doing.
Okay.
Maybe watch some motivational TED videos and stuff like that.
Right.
Sort of get my spirits back up.
Right.
And I just sort of took it from there.
It's got to dampen your spirits, and it did for a couple months. You're obviously going to get go into depression. You went through this, and once you went through this, you started to do your own research. You didn't just quit, which I find very motivational, is that even after you went through the depression, most people just throw their hands up and they don't want to take another step forward. And you, on the other hand, took a step forward. You started to do your research. And earlier on in the interview, you also mentioned that you're into martial arts and fitness, and you became a certified personal trainer.
Right.
That
was after my diagnosis.
That was after the diagnosis. So you went down. So most people, if they were certain martial artists, they would, after being diagnosed in this sense, they would throw up their martial arts career. They would say, "Listen, this isn't for me. I'm not getting into martial arts." You did the opposite. You ended up going into martial arts and stuff.
Right. Well, it struck me as strange or ironic, you can use the word, that I should have a movement disorder.
Okay.
When I was raised around people who were into movement and the use of the body and whatever, right? And that struck me as strange. Number two, I remember distinctly thinking, well, when I was growing up in the martial arts, my teachers always, no teacher ever told me that I couldn't do something.
Okay.
In fact, I was told the opposite.
You can.
If you ever say, like one of my teachers used to say, if you ever say can't in my class, you're doing 50 push-ups. Until we get that word out of your vocabulary, right?
Yeah, that's something I think everybody should apply that. Listen, the minute the word can't or won't comes out of your mouth, I think it's time for you to kind of knock out 50 push-ups or put money in the swear jar.
And can't is really a funny word, which we use a little too easily.
Right.
We just throw it around without thinking about what it means.
Right.
But essentially, can't is an opinion.
Right.
If I told you right now, you can't walk ever again. You can't walk.
Right.
Right? That's not a statement of fact.
Right. It's an opinion.
It's just my sense of the situation you're in.
Okay.
Right? But if you got up and walked, I mean, there's nothing stopping you. There's no.
I don't believe it because
right.
I believe I can walk. I know I can walk, so I'm going to get up and walk.
Right.
Your opinion or diagnosis of saying you can't walk, it's not something that's going to bother me. It's not going to throw me down because of the fact that I have this innate, confident belief that I can get up and walk.
Right. And through my research and looking everywhere I could for information
regarding your condition.
Yeah. Right. Or even not regarding my condition.
Okay.
I was busy. You can imagine I was falling.
Right.
Right? And I was looking for some kind of rope to hang on
to grip on.
Right. So what I found was that in all realms of society, whether it's athletics, business, science, whatever you want, people have overcome tremendous challenges. Granted, they haven't necessarily gone through exactly what I've gone through, but there are people who defied medical science, and they've done it all throughout history.
Right.
And they've come up doing things that nobody thought they could do.
Mhm.
So I just take that and use that as my fuel, because that's really all I have.
It's a very inspirational thing you're saying here. I'm getting goosebumps just listening to you. Tell me, when this, to all the listeners out there, everybody has their own set of challenges. You have your set of challenges that you can deal with. I have a set of challenges that I deal with. You have a set of challenges that you deal with, and to each their own. Now, at one point, these challenges will knock us down off our feet. If they don't knock you down, they're not a challenge yet.
Right.
But at one point, they are going to knock you down off your feet. And at that point, when you do go off your feet and you land in the dirt, what advice would you have for the people listening to get back up, and what should they do? Any tips that you can provide on that?
Well, there are a few things that I would recommend. I mean, I'm still working with these for working through these things myself, so I don't want to purport to be any kind of expert. But obviously, prayer or meditation is key. You have to understand that in order to defy the odds, you have to believe in something bigger. You just have to. There's no way around it.
Right.
And then obviously fitness is key.
And so would you say that if somebody has, going through a rough patch in their life, whether it's career, your relationship, your finances, whatever it might be, would you say, what would be the first thing you tell them to do to kind of get out of that darkness?
What I'd say that.
What did you do when you?
Right. It's hard to say what was the first thing that I did. Well, I would probably say I did research into what other people were doing, what kind of challenges they overcame.
Okay.
So I looked into 10 videos. I read lots of books. I read Gandhi's autobiography.
Okay.
That was a really big help.
Okay.
The key is to, if you're stuck in this situation and you think you're alone, the key is to find people that have done or are doing the same thing.
Right.
So it may be at first in a book or in a video or whatever, right? But then try and find other people in communities around the world that are going through the same challenge. And the old adage about knowledge being power is really truthful. The more you know, the more you feel empowered to do. Like back when I was diagnosed, I didn't know anyone who had ataxia.
Okay.
Most of the people I talked to didn't know what it was.
Right.
Right? Most people still don't know what it is. Because it's very rare.
Right.
There's something like 150,000 people in the U.S. who have it. I'm sure the number's probably lower in different countries.
Right.
Probably 1/10 in Canada.
Right. So it's hard. It's tough, but
Right.
there are people out there.
But what I found was one of the keys was through my research, because there's not a lot of information about ataxia out there.
Okay.
I started to investigate other diseases like MS, Parkinson's, stuff like that. And I came to the realization that all of our struggles are pretty similar.
Okay.
They're all neurological cases.
Right.
And I mean, the manifestation of it may be in different ways. I heard it said best, in the book 4-Hour Work Week
The Tim Ferriss.
by Tim Ferriss,
Yep.
which you might think isn't related, but I like to. I think my one of my gifts is pulling information from different areas and then applying it in different ways.
Okay.
So he has this one statement that says, where it says, "There's a million ways to make $1 million."
I like that. Okay.
So, I mean, if you go to certain people, they might say this is the only way to make $1 million. Another guy might say this is the only way to make $1 million. And if they're both different, how can they both be right?
Right.
Right? So, taking that into consideration,
Right.
there must be a million different ways to cure ataxia.
Mhm.
It's just that no one has found one. Doesn't mean it doesn't
It
exist.
doesn't exist. We're still
Right.
finding it, right? Like,
Right.
and hopefully they find solutions to these issues soon. You did something remarkable even after your research, which was you started to share your story. You started to write about it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started to write about my story back in 2015. I just wanted to get it out there, see if anyone else was going through what I was going through. I thought that maybe my martial arts experience, my fitness experience might help to educate, inform, inspire somebody else who might be going through the darkness, letting them know that there is hope. They just have to believe that it's there. And I've slowly been doing that. The blog is at markedforglory.com.
Marked.
Yeah.
Like targeted marked.
Right.
Okay.
MARKED4glory.com.
We'll link it below.
And yeah, I've just been regularly putting articles out there about fitness, some about martial arts,
Yeah.
about weight training, about personal development, and I haven't really touched on nutrition. Maybe in the new year I'll get to that.
Yes. Hey, listen, we're connected on Facebook, and I truly enjoy it. I love the fact that you're always putting up some challenge videos about like doing push-ups, doing X number of push-ups for this condition, and you're always trying to raise awareness by doing what the condition is supposed to limit you from doing. And I love it. It's like sort of like a slap in the face of ataxia, which I love that you do that all the time. It's amazing. So the link again to Mark's blog is markedforglory.com. It's 4 as in the number 4. Great URL, by the way. I heard you got something. You were mentioning you were going to be doing something special for the viewers.
Right. Well, when I found out we were going to do this, I decided that since I'm working on my own book to be coming out in about a year or so, which is a long way off.
Hey, the year is going to come by really fast.
Right.
We're already recording this in August 2018. Time's flying, man.
So to celebrate this, really my first interview or my first podcast, I wanted to offer your viewers or listeners 50% off the purchase of my book, which is coming out next year.
Amazing.
And what people can do is go to markedforglory.com, AUN, and there they'll be able to find out a bit more about the book and get onto the list. So that way, when it comes time to publish,
Right.
I'll be able to give them the offer.
Oh, that's amazing. Guys, show some support, show some love.
It'll make a great gift not only for the people going through rare chronic conditions, but also people who just want to be inspired, or maybe you know someone who has a condition they just got diagnosed with, they may need some extra motivation.
Need
This
some
would be a great
need some
gift.
support. Simple as
Right.
that, and it's a great gift to give somebody. I'm a big fan of reading like biographies and self-help books and so forth, and you really realize that part of being successful and using your word glory, you have to go through struggles. Nobody became successful or achieved fame or whatever you're trying to achieve without the struggle. And everybody has their own struggle, but you just gotta remember it's just a phase, and you will walk out of it. And clearly, Mark is using his scenario to to inspire others, as well as pass on a positive message instead of just sitting back and sulking is what many people do. Believe that. Mark, thank you so much for coming on. You've definitely inspired me with your message, and I hope you guys found some value in this as well, like I have. And do guys do great, pass a positive message, and tune in for the next one. Take care, guys. All right, bro. That was amazing. How did you find it?
Yeah, this
Before I wrap up, I just wanted to say I really appreciate your time. Would love it if you could subscribe and share this podcast, and also check us out at theinsurers.ca.